How loud is it when I
And then,
fingerboard?
I don't know, do a trick. I can't even hear that. Let's get into it. Let's get this intro started. I always butcher this, by the way. I used to butcher it. It wasn't even like on purpose. Like the first
Yeah,
probably 7 or 8 episodes, butchered it terribly. Then I just started butchering it just to upset Brian O'Neill. So it's become a
yeah,
pretty standard joke just
thing.
right out the gate. Yeah.
All right,
So, anyways, let's
well,
do
let's
it.
do it. Yeah,
Welcome to USAFBL Fingerboarding Podcast. I'm your host, Levine Cunningham, and I'm excited to be chatting with Alan Dean of Grind Fingerboards. Alan, also known as Grind Fingerboards on Instagram. Alan, thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you?
dude, I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so like, I guess the normal thing would be, yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Alan Dean, Grind Fingerboards, and not back at it again, but this time hitting the podcast scene.
Definitely.
So
I know this isn't your first podcast. I think we both have been on the Fingerspace podcast.
yeah, I hit the Finger Space podcast. I think in like early 2022 or late 2021, maybe, when they first kind of hit the scene hard. I honestly, I just took it. It was like a regular phone call, Just had my earbuds in and hung out in my basement and talk exactly like we're doing right now, pretty much. Just
Yeah,
wasn't recorded video wise.
no, definitely. I feel that for sure. We definitely got some history and stuff together. But first, like people that are watching the YouTube channel, like let's tell them like what am I looking at? Like where are you at? Like you look like you got like a full blown like studio going on over there.
Cool. Yeah, this is my basement. I live in Michigan. For a living, I travel around and I do gem and mineral trade shows. So I'm used to setting up kind of like tables to display stuff. So I also travel around and do fingerboard events like the United States Fingerboard League or local fingerboard events in the surrounding areas. And I usually set up tables. So doing something like this it's pretty quick. I can do it on the fly, and I'm blessed to have the space in my basement to move some things around and make it look like I have this giant, huge open space, but it's really like 12 feet by 8 feet. You know what I mean? So you just got to use your space that you got when you got it.
I might know that a little too well. Sometimes I underestimate how large parks are, how large like how small the space actually becomes once you kind of start filling it up. And so it's kind of like Tetris a little bit.
Yeah, it reminds me of like back in the day when like I used to shoot pool over at my friends' houses. I swear all their parents like they had these sunrooms that were like 12 feet by 13 feet. And they're like, oh, it's big enough for a pool table. And then you put a pool table in there. And every shot you're just like this. You're up
Smacking
against
that
the
wall,
wall,
yeah.
and you gotta get up and do the angles in every corner. So it kind of reminds me of that for sure.
Definitely. I've had a scenario like that as well. I got a pool table actually. I thought I can get it in. We had a 2 bedroom apartment, and I mean I have a roommate at the time. This was like probably 15 years back, but we had a
Yeah.
pool table. We were somehow able to like, tear it apart and get it in there, and then realize that like, unless we're playing with like a foot and a half pool cues, like pool sticks, whatever, like it
Yeah.
wasn't happening. So we ended up just throwing it in the living room, which was awkward, but we made it work. It was a good time. Tell us a
Yeah,
little
dude.
about your fingerboarding background. I know you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. So gosh, I started fingerboarding probably like when Tech Decks first came out, but I wasn't a big fan of Tech Decks, so I didn't really skate with Tech Decks at all. I actually skated mostly with a lot of people probably remember these things. They're little plastic
Oh,
fingerboards,
McDonald's boards.
McDonald's fingerboards, right? And so
Yeah.
this is my original fingerboard from like 23 years ago. This is the first one I ever had, and I've kept it the whole time. Split open, and I super glued it back together. Like I put, uh, you know, I put things in there and kind of made it so. But here's another one, for example. But yeah, So these are I fingerboarded with these until 2018.
That's
So
wild. So for people that are
super wild.
listening, these are very similar to the McDonald's plastic boards. They were promo boards
Yeah,
for about 6 weeks or so, I believe. I had one at one point, and
yeah.
I don't know what
They
happened to
are
it.
they are at, like the same one. These are McDonald's fingerboards. They were released in like late 99, early 2000. So that's when that's the board that I got, and I really started skating. And like I said, I skated with these until 2018 when I discovered that this whole fingerboarding community. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Trying
Yeah,
to
that's
see if I can.
crazy. I actually can't even do tricks on those. Those things are extremely difficult to master.
So I always skated three fingers. So my front finger here, and then my back two fingers here.
Is it
And so I would heel flip by like an ollie and then go dink. Crazy. But yeah, you just develop these like gecko fingers, and then it just like
what?
sticks. Yeah. It's crazy.
All right, you might literally be the best McDonald's plastic board fingerboarder that I know.
Yeah.
If you guys are not like,
Probably.
if you guys are listening to this, not watching it, you definitely need to switch over to the video version and check Alan out.
That's pretty ridiculous.
And then for the record, in
Yeah.
case there's anybody who's going to start trolling, like Alan's developed a two-finger habit now.
Yes, I have maybe not with these so much, but with regular fingerboards. But sometimes it shows in some of my edits. I'll still land three fingers, and some people don't count that, But I try to keep it tough if I can.
I feel that. I feel that.
But yeah, man. So I started 23 years ago, and like so 17, 18 years. I'm 39 years old right now, so I've been honestly, I probably started fingerboarding when I was like 10,
That's
like
basically, yeah, we're
realistically,
right around the same time as well. I started in
you
96. I don't
know.
know the math on that as far as years go, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's 27, 28 years,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we've all been fingerboarding like 30 years, pretty much,
Not
since we were
consistently, but
9, 10 years. Yeah, exactly. I pretty much always had one of these with me at like forever. I feel like I was the only like 29-year-olds around Burger King or McDonald's, like skating with that didn't have kids, like being the only weirdo fingerboarding, but I was shredding it. People were crazy. I could nollie like 4 feet high. It was nuts.
that is nuts. So you're out
Nollie the chip
of,
gap. Sterling Heights, Michigan.
yeah,
So
you're
it's
out of
30
Sterling Heights,
minutes
Michigan.
north, 30 minutes north of Detroit.
So the Michigan scene over the last 2 years has absolutely exploded. The first
For
time
sure.
I heard of anything going down in Michigan was actually through you. You have probably the most epic fingerboarding name for an event like ever, like chicken fingers. Like,
Yeah.
you can't say it without smiling.
Yeah, I don't know. Where that one just kind of like it was the one of the first events I ever went to was called Frozen Fingers. And then after that, it was Thawed Fingers because Frozen Fingers was in the winter and Thawed Fingers was in the summer.
Huh.
And I was like, man, what am I going to do? And then I think Grind Time was already established at that point. Like Grind Time was my first event. I did one event in August. My first year, I think it was 2018 or 2019.
I didn't realize you guys, I didn't even realize you went that far back.
Yeah. So Grind Fingerboard started in March 2018. So I think I feel like it wasn't August the first year I got an event together. There's no way. That would have been crazy. But there's no way. It was probably 2019 was our first event at Exodus Rock Shop, Grind Time 1. Yeah. and then we had to have taken 20 off because of COVID.
That can't be accurate.
So yeah, I don't
Really?
know. Maybe not. I'd have to go back. I don't know
I know
the
it goes
details.
far back.
Either way, this is the 4th grind time, and we had to have skipped a year for COVID in there. I swear. But there was a
Possibly.
year we
I
didn't do
remember,
it.
I think 2020 that I came out to, I want to say it was Chicken Fingers. And this was before I started the tour. We started in 2021 because you actually
Yeah,
gave
and that
me
was
quite a
probably
bit of inspiration and stuff as well, as far as getting the tour and stuff like that started. I was already kind of doing it, but like you just kind of gave me that little push with your event
yeah.
experience as to like how you do things.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's cool. Like I feel like I kind of might have inspired the whole region out here
Honestly, I think
because
that's the case because once you
um
kind of hosted that event, like more and more people
yeah.
started hosting events in the Michigan area.
Yeah, which is dope. Like Fatties has stepped up. My buddy Andrew over at Anxiety Offline has stepped up. Like um it's really cool. And now like I think like Goofy Digits and Serial City are doing
Yeah, they got the
in
Battle Creek.
collaboration with the Battle Creek skate shop. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on out here, and that's why I just tell people when they come to my events, they're like, dude, I love this. This is so dope. I wish we could do more like this. And I'm like, then do it. Like the only one stopping you from hosting an event is you.
Yeah. And I don't think
Like
people
if,
understand like just taking the little risk to basically just putting yourself out there and just getting
yeah,
things going. And so like help mentor a lot of people to getting their first events and stuff off. And it's super rewarding, but it's like once they realize that like it's happening and they're doing it and like they got a good 15, 20 plus people there and they're like, dude, this is what's up. We should have been doing this months ago or years ago. And I was like, yeah.
yeah, for sure. Like I've been talking about doing a Saturday sessions like once a month. It'd be like one Saturday a month at Exodus. It's just everybody knows it's like the first Fridays, but it's like first Saturdays. The first Saturday of every month, everybody goes to Exodus and just hangs out all day, you know. But it's just a matter of organizing it and then just showing up yourself and having a couple homies roll up. And before you know it, it's 6 guys and then it's 10 guys and then it's 20. And then it's like there's not parking for anybody and there's 50 people every other, Saturday of the month or whatever. It's pretty cool, man. It's blowing up. I love it. I love watching. I love being a part of it.
Definitely. All the Michigan peeps are actually hosting stuff this fall. So I'm actually excited to be able to venture out and I'm gonna hit your event out and we got Boys
Yeah.
and Brews, I think just hit me up earlier today talking about August, like end of August date.
Yeah. Saturday, August 26th is what he
Yeah,
was
that's what it is.
saying.
Yeah.
So if that is confirmed, then I'm definitely going to be on as a sponsor and I'm going to do my best to show up. But I don't, that one's only like an hour away. So, but I'm leaving the day after.
Oh,
So,
gotcha. Yeah, we'll definitely be sponsoring all those events as well. He just hit me up today, so I haven't even checked out the address, how far away it is and all that stuff, but chances are I'll definitely
yeah.
probably be out there now
Yeah.
that I
It's in
got my weekends free.
Romulus. It's in Romulus, which is like right by the airport, pretty much.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I think
So,
that's
yeah, it's a
still
cool
about
little
5 hours for
spot.
me.
Yeah. Yep. It's probably, yeah, a solid 5 hours, like with stops and stuff too.
Fair
For sure.
enough.
Yeah. We just came through Indianapolis on Thursday. It was like Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. Ended up staying in Muncie.
So this is Grind Time 4 coming up, and this will be theoretically this Saturday whenever this episode launches. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I got the flyer. Got the flyer right here. It's like, yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Alan Dean, Grind Fingerboards.
all right, so August 12th, Grind Time 4. What's the time on this and where is it located?
It's at Exodus Ride Shop. You can check them out straight on Instagram at Exodus Ride Shop. Link in the bio. It's in White Lake, Michigan. It's going to be Saturday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm usually there setting up about 9 o'clock and set up for a solid 2 hours. People roll up at 11. registration goes till noon, and then it's just kind of like a series of events until 5 o'clock when we just kind of wrap it up, and it's a great time. It's free. Everybody that shows up and registers gets a free raffle ticket to win prizes, and then you can purchase additional raffle tickets that help us to, cover the expenses of all the free food and the free drinks and the pop and the Red Bulls and Monsters and Liquid Deaths and, Arnold Palmer's and bags of chips and Jets Pizza. We
Sounds
do it
like a
up right.
party.
We get porta potties, and there's some pop-up tents. It's cool because any vendor, anybody that wants to come can set up a vendor spot. We don't charge for a booth. We don't need any of your sales. Like, it's first come, first serve, totally open market, open swap marketplace, kind of trade, barter. Everybody's there just to help each other out. And I tell people to bring some cash to support local businesses, because
Definitely.
that's what we're all out there hustling and grinding and trying to have fun and make a living at the same time, which is, I think, everybody's goal.
No, understand that. And your events have gotten very large too, as well. You guys are pushing like 70, 80 plus people. I
Yeah.
haven't made it out to the last year, but I've been watching like all the stories and stuff, and they look packed.
Yeah, I think at Chicken Fingers this year, I think we ended like at 77 or so. And not every single person signed in, but I'd like to say like 90, we catch 90% of people to sign in and register. But like, since you don't have to pay, and there's no, like, people can kind of just come and go as they please, because Exodus is actually open to the public as well that day. There was one year we had an exclusive Nike SB drop on the day of an event. So that was really cool. Like getting there right when they open at 10, and then a couple people showing up like, hey, did you getting those Nikes? And you're like, no, we're here for Fingerboard event. And they're like, oh, dude, look at these SBs. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you can get in there, because sometimes he's one of the Exodus Ride Shop is one of the top like premier Nike SB dealers in the nation. So they get like this super limited release dope stuff. You know what I mean?
What got you into hosting your own fingerboarding event? Like, what kind of pushed you into it?
I mean, pretty much I was getting ready to go to a fingerboard event. So I think I started, I was getting ready to go to a fingerboard event, and something happened. My son got really sick and I wasn't able to go. And so that was like the last time that was the last fingerboard event. It was like in Toledo, Ohio, and I missed it. I was so excited to go. I was sponsoring it. It was like Fresh Coast Fingers and like this other dude, like FB Soto or something. He moved way up north to Michigan. Anyways, so yeah, just missing out on that event. And then just usually the way that I do things, like when I start a business, I like try to figure out ways that I can promote it and grow it fast. And I noticed that fingerboard events were like a thing. And I kind of saw a couple people doing it. I got hit up by a couple of kids that were asking me to sponsor their events. And I just was like, dude, I could totally do this. So I went to Exodus Ride Shop and I introduced myself to them and kind of told them who I was and what I was doing. And I asked them if it was something that they would be interested in, like collabing, basically, like, hey, let's co-sponsor this event. I'll handle everything except for, the details that we share and the space. Like, you provide the space and I'll bring the people, right? And so it's worked out from the get-go. Zach is super easy to work with, both Zachs, the owner and Zach Miyamoto, both amazing skaters too. Those guys are super easy to work with. So it's clicked since day one. So we just keep doing it, After the first year, we're like, hey, let's do 2 next year. So then that's when Chicken Fingers started. So Chicken Fingers lags 1 year behind. So this year we did Chicken Fingers 3 and it's Grind Time 4. So
Gotcha.
Grind
Got a
Time is
little
the
history
OG
lesson.
event.
I like it.
Yeah. So this is like my 7th event, I guess, technically, that I'm putting on myself. So,
which is impressive for people that don't understand. Like, 7 may not sound like a large number, but like in the fingerboarding space, like 7 events that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, besides if you compare it to like you're doing 12 this year, right?
9 this year,
Or
12 last
9.
year.
Okay, yeah. So 12 last year was hard, dude. And so 9, you're killing it in a year, like it's taken me 4 years to do 7 events. So like I know and appreciate and respect the amount of work that you guys put into your tour because it's tenfold what I do. What I do is a piece of cake, like I just have to go out on a limb and like reach out to these companies and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Would you like to support us by sending us something for free so that we can give it away to the people who come to the event, And luckily enough, you send enough DMs, you get enough responses, and if people like you or they believe in you or they like your brand or what you're doing, then they're more inclined to say, yes, heck yeah, dude, I'll give it a shot, and they'll send you some stuff and see how the event goes. And
Mhm.
if they like it, they get good feedback, then next year it's like a shoe in. They're like, yo, are you doing that event? I got a pack ready for you, So, um, so yeah, it's just something I naturally do, like I want to organize my own gem and mineral shows. I'd love to be able to, I feel like I could do a really good job because I've vended a lot of gem shows and I know a lot of things that I like and I know a lot of things I don't like. So that makes a really good recipe for success.
So is the gem stuff what you do on as far as like your day job? Because I see a lot of stories of you fingerboarding at your gem craft shows, which seems like it's like a weekly thing.
Yeah, I mean, the gem shows when it's like spring and fall, it's like 3 weekends a month, you know. Sometimes 4. There's a couple stretches where I do like 8 shows in a row, back to back to back to back to back to back. And so I was traveling to a different city every weekend, staying in a hotel or at a friend's house if I'm lucky, you know. And so if we stay at a hotel or we stay at a friend's house, we try to set up a little park, or if we're at the actual gem show, we try to set up a table like this for us and for the kids, because a lot of kids get roped into going to gem shows and they don't really want to be there, you know.
Providing that outlet, I love it. So you and Exodus Ride Shop have been basically doing collaboration events since day one then.
Yeah, for sure. And I looked into doing like a winter event, um, real close to my house, but like the venue was like $1,200 to rent for 6-8 hours, and I'm like, well, I need it like hopefully the day before, or at least like early in the morning, like 8 a.m., and then need it until like 8 p.m. So 12 hours. So that doesn't work, if it's
That's
1,200
our
for six
biggest
hours.
problem with the tours. We're a 12-hour 8 to 8. It takes us 4 hours to set up, 2 hours to tear down, 6-hour event. So people don't
Yeah.
understand, like, people are like, oh, it was kind of pricey for the like tickets, but they don't realize like all of those venues, like they're expensive.
Yeah, dude. Look at where you're at and then think this place could be a wedding and
Yeah.
they could probably be charging $20,000 just for tonight for this space. You know, like that's what I ran into. I'm trying to host a
Yeah.
gem show here, and I told her where and when, and she's like, honey, I'm sorry, but I can rent this space for $25,000 a night, and you want it for 4 days. Like, it's not in your wheelhouse,
Yeah.
Like, she's
Yeah.
like, even if I cut you a deal and it was 70,000, I'm like, no, I'm talking like 3 grand for the spot is what I'm willing to pay, and they're like, gotta go down the street to the alley, and knock on the brick house, it's like, no, no.
No,
So
I know. That's what we did in season one and season two. We were basically just renting out these banquet halls that were literally being used for weddings. And so, I mean, it stressed out our budget so bad just because we needed such a large amount of space. And so when you're looking for like
mm,
space and cheap,
yeah,
like very rarely, like very, very rarely go together.
yeah, that's like you gotta have a legit huge, like very profitable business like Flat Face, where you can afford to have a huge pole barn that's like the size of a football field, you know?
He's lucky for sure. He's very fortunate, basically being able to grind it out for that long to be able to get to a point to where he's got his own spot, his own building, stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
I mean, huge shout out to Mike, because that's something
Dude,
I haven't
huge,
even been able to do. Like,
huge.
I tried it and it didn't work out. So like he's doing something
Yeah.
that nobody really is even doing. So
No, yeah, he's definitely the GOAT, dude. You know, he's living the dream. Like he is doing it, and he's let us all know that it's possible.
yeah, he's
And
actually one of the biggest
so,
inspirations, because like I look at him and I'm like, I just want to fingerboard all day. Like if I can just quit my job and just fingerboard all day, I
oh
would
yeah,
be in absolute heaven. And so
dude. And that's the thing. Like we legit could, but what we would have to do is we'd have to team up into like a little crew, or like, a collective, and throw down monthly on a space and freaking show up to work, which is to film videos, and to everybody takes turns. You ride, we skate, and then the guys who are really good at editing take all the clips and they put their brains together, and you get three guys editing all the clips. You got the three best filmers, you got everybody does their part. And in the end, you got the space and you got the product. You feed it into the machine, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And then once you just keep doing it, eventually somebody is going to see it, and somebody is going to want to pay you to put their ads in your content. And then the money starts coming. And then you get to the point where it's just like your pockets are bulging. Like that's the plan, right? That's the
that's
vision.
the
But
dream. That's the
I
dream.
mean, and it is possible. You got to put in the work. And that's what 99% of people can't do, either because of they don't want to do it, or because they just physically can't,
It's a grind
because
for
of other
sure.
circumstances.
Yeah, it's a grind for sure. We're I mean, on the track that we're at, we're probably like 2 years out even for the tour to even be like self-sustainable. And so
Yeah.
it's I mean, people look at it as like a huge, I mean, it's an awesome thing that I do, and what my team is. So I don't even know how we're even doing this, to be honest with you. Like we just finished the indie stop 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and like I'm looking
Yeah.
back at it and I'm just like, dude, I don't know how we did an international summer tour like that. It's absolutely nuts.
It's amazing, bro. I'm happy to be a part of it. It's really freaking cool. Really awesome.
Speaking of which, you've been with us like in USFBL like since basically day one. You've seen season 1, season 2, and season 3.
Yeah, I think I don't know what the first event I ever went to, I
I think
think
that's Chicago.
was it Chicago, or was it Denver the year before? I think I did.
Possibly.
I feel like I did Denver, and that's where I got my
You
first
did do Denver
medal.
first, because I already remembered
And
you on the Chicago one.
yeah, and I don't have that medal here actually. I have a gold medal from Denver, and I have a silver medal from Denver, I think.
I
Think
remember that. And you got some stuff from last
yeah.
year as well. For
So yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think that was the first year of the tour, 2022 or 2021.
21, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was my first one, I think.
I
That
look back at
year.
those days too, and it was like it was exciting, and every stop in 2021 for me, like I had just massive butterflies like before
Dude,
each
yeah,
event. Like
yeah,
it's like I haven't hosted an actual like fingerboarding event before the tour, even though I've like hosted large scale events before. But it was just like I go out in like 2021 just nervous, just like, are people gonna show up? Are people gonna have a good time? There's like so many like unknowns. And so
yeah,
like 2021 for me was definitely like, I look back, it was like it was a fun time, but like it was kind of nerve-wracking. And I think it
yeah,
wasn't even until like I got through like the second or third city that I'm like, I think I can actually do this now.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the only way to do it though, man. And I love like that's how I know I really love something and I am excited about life is when I get butterflies before I do something. And that the first time I really ever got those every time I went to do something was growing up with snowboarding. Like
Mm.
rolling up to the ski hill, like always got those butterflies. And that's how I know, dude. You know, so that's how you know, like that this is one of the things that you're supposed to do, you know,
That is true. That
regardless
is
if
true.
it's forever for a hobby or whatever, you know. We have so much opportunity with the internet and all these platforms and where people's attention is that all the opportunities right here for us to do whatever we want. We just have to create our vision, you know, have the vision and put it down on paper to make it reality. You know, I think you've done a freaking fantastic job, dude.
Well, I
Great.
appreciate it. I've
You know,
been trying to be as inspirational as possible as well. It's been a journey. It's been a huge learning curve, but it's definitely the journey, not the destination. I didn't really understand that until probably like after the first season. I realized that like even if I
yeah,
did like somehow manage to be able to like fingerboard full time, like I don't even know if I would enjoy it as much if I didn't go through this like just this grind of just like making things happen and making things work. Like this is the
yeah,
fun spot.
heck yeah.
So you've kind of developed your
See.
own ecosystem. Like you host events. I know you make your own decks. I mean, kind of go into detail, kind of like what you kind of make and what you got going on.
So you know, I started making decks right away. Basically, this is the story. So I heard about fingerboarding. You know, it was like early March. My buddy Christian Panda Escalante, um, Panda FB, I think is his handle or something along those lines. He's big in the gem and mineral community, wire wrap community where I originate from, and and he had some videos of him posted like doing fingerboard stuff, and I was like, holy crap! And I dove into the rabbit hole, and that's how I figured out. I was like, holy crap! Like there's real freaking skateboards. So I looked them up, and you know, complete is like $100. So being the thrifty guy that I am, I'm like $100. I went on eBay and I found a fingerboard mold for 30. And I have a wood shop right down the street, a woodcraft. Like I'm super blessed to have a woodcraft like literally a mile down the street. So I have a fingerboarder's workshop paradise right there. Got some veneer and some wood glue, and I just started making my own decks because it was way cheaper. And I already have like the basic tools to make them. Um, like I used a jeweler saw, like a little tiny,
Oh, gotcha.
like look almost looks like a hacksaw, but
Yeah.
it's like a little jeweler saw to cut out my first ever fingerboard.
Is that what it's actually
Um,
called?
it's a jeweler saw,
Jeweler
yeah,
saw? Gotcha.
yeah. So I like hand cut my board, and then you know did all the sanding and so yeah, I started making decks, and I'm an artist, you know, like I paint and I make wire wraps, so I like to create things with my hands. So naturally, I just started making decks. I probably only made like 100 really because over time I've realized that um, I just I put way too much time and effort into making the actual deck. It's like more of a piece of art, and so like by the end, I've got like say $100 worth of like my time and energy and cost of materials and stuff. Like the cost of materials isn't much, but like the time and energy that I put into every single board is way too much. It doesn't equal what I can charge. You know, I'd have to charge $100 a deck to make it profitable, you know, and if I sell them for $30 a deck, which is like the going price for a nice handcrafted deck, $30, I'm losing money selling fingerboards. So naturally, when it comes to where I want to put my time, I don't want to put my time into making fingerboards because it's not profitable for me. So I make fingerboards for art, and then I may have some extras that I sell or give away. I've never had an official drop. I don't have like an official website. Um, I'm just kind of been low key building the brand, I guess, for 4 years. Someday I hope to launch a website and to have a good stock of decks, but I'm probably not going to make the decks And that's just me being honest. They'll still be branded by me, but I'll probably have my buddy Jeff at Cosmic Inertia make the decks using my molds, because he's the best deck craftsman that I know,
He's good.
hands
He
down.
is really good.
Like that's all I skate is Cosmic Inertias, pretty much. I have like one or two decks of my own that I skate now, but all the rest is like all my other dope decks are just retired to collection, and I'll pull them out to kickflip and skate. But my daily shreds are always Cosmic Inertias, man. I just something about him.
No, I
He's
feel
got
you.
it
He's
figured out.
good. And he hand paints
Yeah,
everything too, which is awesome.
dude. Yeah, and he's got airbrush now, and his
Yeah.
hand painting is like so top level. So,
What I
um,
definitely feel you on the whole just boards taking forever. I actually started off as a board maker before I started hosting events and started the tour. And so I started off as curved fingerboards. That's me, that's my personal brand. I was getting to the point where I was making a bunch of prototypes, kind of getting the process and stuff down. And I realized like how time consuming making boards is. And so huge
yeah,
shout out to all my deck makers, by the way, because you
dude,
guys are like super underappreciated in my books. Like the
yeah,
amount of time, the quality, the craftsmanship, and then the fact that like, not every single one of these decks that you make is going to be like perfect. Like they may be blems, you can misdrill a hole and the whole deck is trash. And
yeah.
so the learning curve on it is absolutely insane. I am
Mm-hmm.
still kind of working my way through it, but I started
Yeah,
off as a deck maker and I'm like, man, like I just kind of want a fingerboard. Like I don't really know if I want to spend 3 or 4 hours on a deck, like, from start to finish
yeah,
doing
for
that. And
real.
so I was just like, I just want to shred. I just want to shred with the homies. Like I just want to skate. And so like if you're making decks, you can't be fingerboarding. And there's only so much spare time in your life. And so you kind of got to pick one or the other. And so huge shout out
Mm-hmm.
to the deck makers for sure that are literally putting in that work.
Yeah, like I guess the idea for us to be able to scale it would be to like legit make a job description or like a step-by-step process of how to make fingerboards, and then we'd have to hire somebody and teach them our way, you know and then it's not your deck anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's your
It's
brand,
yeah.
so I think people are willing to pay a premium for a deck that they know is made by you,
Mhm.
and um, so my decks still don't sell for very much, but when I do sell them, sometimes they sell for $40. That's kind of my normal asking price for a standard blend, or not blend, but a blank. Um, I don't really hand paint. I haven't figured out heat transfer graphics. I had a roller. I built a roller. I ordered graphics, and nothing. It didn't work. They wrinkled. It was like a ton of money wasted trying out this stuff,
Yeah, it's
and
a
it didn't work.
process.
So yeah, I mean, guys that get the heat transfer down and they get the hand painting, it's yeah, mad respect. And
Definitely.
everyone's got their own touch too, so you can tell who skips steps and who doesn't.
That's the thing that I feel like I am working on. Basically this fall I plan on doing like probably my first drop of decks. And so at least for me, like I feel like I can't put anything mid out there, like nothing that's just it's got to be like top tier. I feel like I built a brand where like people's expectations are here. And so like I've been literally for the last probably year and a half, like just trying to slowly learn this learning curve. And so like having like a storefront, I've been introduced to like so many good brands and so many like quality deck makers that like the bar is like it's high, it's like up here. And so like when
Yeah,
I'm looking at it, I'm just like, I can't produce anything that's not like up here. And so I've been literally just kind of sitting on stuff for a while until I can get my skill sets high enough to be able to like just launch decks that are that high up on the scale. So
yeah, yeah. And I think, you know, a big part of it may sound weird, but I swear by it is like the grain and the way that you cut the original pieces of veneer, and the pieces that you line up and the direction that you line them, like every little nuance makes a difference, you know.
Definitely.
So certain pieces that like aren't symmetrical in wood grain on a piece, you don't want to use those pieces unless it's like for a show piece, like a top or bottom ply. um, you know, you really got to make sure that stuff's lined up proper. And grains run this way and they run that way, but
Mhm.
then there's also like an internal grain that runs like either this way or that way, like forwards or backwards along the grain itself. So that's another key factor. Sometimes you put them in like this and like this, but you need to put this one in like this and then the other one in this way, you know.
Facts.
It's like it's crazy how detailed the little things, and when you oppose all those different forces, it gives your board so much more pop. It's crazy.
It is. It's
So that's like
crazy.
a little hack.
And then
It's
got
a
all the
little,
color plies. I've been really going deep with the color plies. And
yeah,
then
and that's a whole nother investment, like learning how to dye your own plies.
mhm,
That's like huge time investment, trial and error. And if you're actually going to do it, you need to get like a freaking vacuum pump. That's like, that's how the real guys do it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, you can't just like dump it in a bucket of water with some food coloring. It's
definitely.
not that
I
easy.
tried that. It
So
wasn't as
did I.
bright.
And I
Yeah,
think everybody did, you know, that's the beauty of it, you know. But I like the OG YouTubers and people that made a lot of videos on how to do that stuff, you know, 5, 10 years ago. That's really cool. That's where I learned a lot of stuff.
definitely. I'm actually working on I got now the art form of getting the drill holes where like you get your countersinks in and then like you get
Mm-hmm.
that base layer like middle ply like where it shows up and stuff. And so I don't know where I
Yeah.
saw that. Somebody else was doing. I don't know if it was like Double Joint that started it or maybe somebody else, but like there's a few people that are doing that. And I was like, dude, I
Mm-hmm.
gotta do that as well.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get down to that second colored ply and try to get the ring,
Hmm.
you know. And then if the middle ply is white, you can get like the little bullseye in the middle too
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, that's I started doing that just because I had like the jewelry burrs that I use. That's the shape they are.
Hmm.
So it just naturally went that way. I didn't use like a regular drill bit to drill my countersinks. I use like what they call a heart burr in jewelry.
Gotcha.
So it's a little more shaped like an umbrella upside down, you know, like it's like wider.
Hmm.
It's more like that versus like a drill is like probably not quite there, like 60-degree angle or something, you know. But yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So I'm always an open book when it comes to like how I do stuff or where I get stuff. Like there's some things I don't tell people where I get that stuff from, but if you're smart, like you already know,
Yeah,
you
fair
know,
enough. Fair enough.
for sure, for sure.
So, as a guy that does cold baths, I've been creeping your Instagram stories and you're like raving about these cold baths. And I don't know if like
Yeah,
TikTok is listening to my conversations or not, but I get cold
probably.
baths on my feeds now, and I'm just like, I mean, I kind of want to do it, but
Yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like that's just seems like cruel and unusual punishment, I guess you would say.
yeah. It's very interesting. It's not fun, but I've never regretted it. That's what I tell people. When I first heard about it, it was like I discovered this guy Wim Hof, and he is like kind of brought breath work to the mainstream. And so he's like, I think he's like a Swedish or Norwegian guy, grew up like in the ice, you know, like it was icy everywhere. You know, he showered in the river with icebergs. And this guy, he can like run marathons barefoot in Antarctica and like do all this stuff because he can breathe and he has the mental powers to like keep his body warm just by the power of thought and breathing, you know, his mind. And that intrigued me. And he does these things that are called ice baths. And there's so many benefits to like it's called cold therapy or cold exposure, right? So um, I follow this guy, Andrew Huberman. He has the Huberman Lab podcast, and he talks about the benefits of cold water therapy scientifically. So, Andrew Huberman, he's a professor of neuropsychology and ophthalmology at the University of Stanford. So this dude knows what he's talking about. So, anyways, yeah, they say 12 minutes a week total is all you need. So I try to do 3 minutes a day, 4 days a week. I started in December. I bought a metal 100-gallon galvanized trough off Facebook Marketplace, and I filled it with hose water. Because like a commercial cold plunge is like $5,000.
I can see that.
It's like a hot tub. It's like a cool
Gotcha.
hot tub, but it's one person and you sit in it for 3 minutes a day. So to me, it's not worth $5,000, and I'm thrifty. I'm going to go make one, and like, that's what I did. So I just went, it was December. I got the trough for $80, came home, filled it up. I did one that night, the hose water, it was 45 degrees, I think, when I did it, and it's freaking cold, but it's got all kinds of health benefits. So number one, it naturally spikes your dopamine levels like 2.5 times their normal level, and it helps you sustain that dopamine level high for the like 4 to 6 hours on average, I think is what they say. So like, it makes you feel great. It's like you do an ice bath first thing in the morning before you do anything, and like, it's like you just had like 5 cups of coffee. You're so alert. When you get in the water, your body, when it's cold enough, like when it's 49 or below or 50, there's like a certain threshold where like it's better for you, right? But then it could get too cold too. But anyways, you get in, and like, your body's like, holy crap, I'm gonna die. We're gonna die if something doesn't happen quick. And you like, takes your breath away. And so that's when you do the breathing, and you kind of just get through it, and the burn and the burn turns to a tingle, and then the tingle kind of starts to maybe warm up a little bit, and it's like, it hurts, but it feels good. It sucks, but it's great. And when you finish it, you're like, you never thought that I would ever do that my entire life, and you did it, and you got through it, and you're like, holy crap, like, I am Superman, like, you feel like that great for the rest of the day. So that's one reason I do it, because it helps me to stay like motivated and positive. It helps you it increases your metabolism, helps you to burn brown fat, helps you to recover, muscle recovery, and boost your immune system. Like, there's so many benefits to it, that I don't see a reason not to do it just because it sucks. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Plus
I'm
it
gonna have
looks
to.
plus it looks cool. Like, it looks like, when I watch videos of me doing it, like when it was full of ice, like in January, and I was like chopping it with the axe, I'm like, dude, that's badass.
It is. I'm not
Like,
even gonna lie. I was looking at
I
that and
did
I was
that.
like, I think he's more
I'm
manly
like,
than I am. Like, that's crazy.
I'm like, dude, it's crazy. Like,
Just the
it's
thought of
definitely
it,
crazy.
just like, man, like, I don't know. I'd almost rather slam my hand in a car door before I even do that. And I'm like, man, that's rough.
Dude, yeah, it's rough, but dude, I I don't think I got sick all winter, and I felt great. Like, I'm in great physical shape. I'm in the best shape I've been in my life, probably. Like, I'm like, my medium sized shirts were like a little small, or like, I couldn't wear medium. When I first ordered Grind Fingerboard shirts, I wore XL. Like, I wore XL. I just started wearing medium like last year, and now medium's like getting a little tight in my arms, because I've been going to the gym and like pumping weight and doing push-ups. Like, it's crazy. So, and I've been doing cold plunges like even through the summer. Um, the water basically gets to the low temp it was at night.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, I just got a chiller that I hooked up like 2 weeks ago. So now I have like a refrigerated water system that's pumping cold water into it. So if it gets down to like 60 at night, it might get down to like, the water might get down to 50 if I'm lucky.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it was 58 when I did it this morning.
So you're doing this
So, and my
daily?
wife's doing them with me now. Yeah. Now I've
Okay.
been doing it daily, and like with the chiller, as it's getting closer to fall, it's going to get a couple degrees colder. It'll kind of go like this, on a steady decline. It'll
Okay.
go down
Okay.
and come up. And so like I did it 58 yesterday. It might be 52 tomorrow morning, or it might be
Yeah.
61, but we're just going to ride this wave until in the winter when we do it, it's usually 34 to 38, or it's got solid chunks of ice and it's basically 32 degrees.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
But yeah, it's cool. I definitely would, give it a shot. Maybe like try a polar plunge. Like I did that this year. That was kind of cool. Like our local city does like a polar plunge in January where they run into Lake St. Clair,
Yeah,
and
we had that back
it's for
home as
charity.
well. Yeah. It was called
Yeah.
Polar Bear Plunge. Yeah. We had the Taneycomo Lake, and they literally would run into that. It was like second week of January.
Yeah. So like
I
that
was like,
could be a nice
oof.
day, could be a cold day. It's intense. Um, but really I started the first 3 ice baths I did were in my bathtub in my house, just filling the tub with straight cold water. And that was it. And I like measured it, and I think the first time I did it, it was like 57 degrees coming out of the tap of my house. So that's cold enough to give you the benefits.
All right.
You
Well,
know.
you convinced me. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it sometime this week. I'm gonna
Yeah, yeah. I'll
muscle up some nerve, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I always kind of
cool.
secretly
Yeah,
wanted to do it, but I think like you in this conversation now, like literally kind of pushed me to the edge. We're like, all right, I'm gonna have to try it at
yeah.
least once. At least
I
once.
I I mean, if you're ever in the area, bro, you're welcome to hit mine anytime. My plunge is always open. I tell people if they want to come try it, like I'm happy to guide them through it and to help them with the breath work. My wife just started doing them with me, which is awesome. You know, so um, yeah, it's cool. And then breath work, like breathing,
Mm.
is so important. It's so important. And it's like I've been in a battle. I've been in a battle with these Breeze Pro freaking pens for like 2 years. Like I quit smoking cigarettes, which is great, but now I just got to stop these stupid little disposable vape pens, man. Because breath is all we have. You know, breathing is so important.
No, I
Without
feel
our next
that.
breath, we don't have life. You know what I mean? So um, breath work is super important. And I just heard yesterday that like if you do Wim Hof method breath work, which is 9 minutes a day, it's 30, it's basically 30 deep breaths in, out, and do that 30 times. And then you exhale as much as you can. You hold that as long as you can. And you inhale and you hold that as long as you can. And then that would be one round. And then you do 30 more in, out, in, out 30 times. And then exhale, hold your breath 30 or as long as you can. Inhale, hold as long as you can. So 9 minutes a day, add 7 years to your life.
There for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. I'm stoked. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Um, I mean, I want to shout out all like 62 sponsors that are all at the bottom of here. I can't say everybody's name, but everybody that sponsors Grind Time for any of my Grind Time events, any of my Chicken Fingers events, thank you so much. It means the world to me because without you guys, this is impossible. So also shout out to all my followers and my fans. Like it's a 100% organic profile. I built it from scratch. I've never used anybody to manage my stuff. I've never used any programs. I made that mistake with my Alan Dean TK account. I used a program to like build my following and it destroyed, you know, it's crazy. I've lost like it built me up from 8,000 to 25 and then it's dropped me to 16 and it's like I'm shadow banned, but that's besides the point. Yeah, shout out to you and your wife for killing it, your family, your friends, United States Fingerboard League. Shout out to Cosmic Inertia, Exodus Ride Shop, Redemption Fingerboards. Pretty much like Exodus, Redemption, and Cosmic have been there since the beginning, like Jeff was there since day one, and so was Jordan at Redemption, so is like the first fingerboard event I think I ever went to was like a little gathering at Jordan's at his spot. So yeah. And shout out to my wife and my kids for supporting me and allowing me to do what I do on a daily basis, which is what I love, having fun and trying to sell stuff that I'm into, you know?
I feel that. I feel that for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
All right, Alan, where
Yep.
can people find you?
At Grind Fingerboards on Instagram, at Grind Fingerboards on Facebook, at Alan Dean _TK on Instagram. I'm also on Threads at Grind Fingerboards, TikTok at Grind Fingerboards. So pretty much at Grind Fingerboards everywhere, unless you want to see some gems and minerals, and then hit me up on Alan Dean _TK. That stands for Tourmaline Kings.
Okay, all right. Well,
Yeah,
Alan,
yeah.
thanks for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Heck yeah, dude. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
It was
no
a great
worries.
time.
Till next
It was a
time.
great time. Hell yeah, brother. Peace out. Have a good night.